This mod overhauls vampires and vampire lords in Skyrim Special Edition, with new abilities, power perks, progression systems, and many gameplay tweaks. As you feed and continue to play as a vampire in Skyrim, your vampire character will continue to become stronger and unlock new abilities. Vampire characters will also receive new abilities depending on their level of thirst. As you become thirstier, you'll lose beneficial abilities and gain detrimental abilities instead. Each race has one additional racial vampire ability as well, which is pretty freaking neat. There is also a ton of new spells and powers for vampire characters. Some that are acquired through progression as a vampire, others are acquired based on your level of thirst. There are now new vampire ranks depending on how old your vampire is, meaning the longer you play as a vampire in the game, the more abilities and powers you will unlock. The ranks are Fledgling, which is a new vampire, Blooded, which is a vampire that is 5 days old, Mistwalker, which is a vampire that is 15 days old, Night Stalker, which is a vampire that is 30 days old, Night Lord, which is a vampire that is 50 days old, and Night Master, which is a vampire that is 75 days old, and also more. Vampire characters will also gain new abilities and powers as a vampire lord, which will make using this form in the game that much more formidable depending on the experience of the vampire. This vampire overhaul literally adds too much to go over in one mod review, and almost completely changes everything about vampires in the game. However, it is very customizable, so you'll be able to still play the type of vampire you want in the game. This is one of the most extensive mods I've ever seen for vampires in Skyrim, and one I would highly recommend to anyone who is thinking of doing an undead playthrough of the game. I rate this mod one baby that was just told a velociraptor is loose in the building.
Interesting. I'm not freaking out!
I don't know about you guys, but I actually feel bad for the Draugr. I mean, they look anorexic as fuck. Like they haven't eaten in like 100 years. They probably smell like a dead fart too. And if I had to guess, I bet if you kicked them in the armpit, they'd probably cry like a little bitch. With that said, I figured they really just needed a win. So what better way to show the Draugr you care about them than giving them some new epic weapons to use when they're chasing you down a dungeon. This mod ameliorates that by adding some badass looking Nord weapons to the game. Now these weapons come in two variants. There is a replacer variant, as well as a standalone variant, depending on whether or not you want to keep the old ancient Nord weapons in the game. It's sort of a before they were cool sort of thing, I guess. Now the replacer version is really where it's at, because that will actually put these weapons in the hands of the Draugr, which is kind of the point. The replacer version will add a lot more weapons to the equipment of the Draugr, which also includes hammers in different variants. The only weapons of the ancient Nord this mod doesn't touch is the bow. There are also 3 shield variants that are added, one that replaces the normal iron shield but only in the leveled lists of the Draugr, and another 2 shields that are added as standalone variants, which adds more to the game even though it's a replacer. I rate this mod the one expression that just says,
I cannot believe it's not butter. It's just unbelievable. I really cannot believe this is not butter.
Now, are you a fan of Lord of the Rings? Are you the type of person that has a life-size poster of Samwise Gamgee on your bedroom door, so that when you close it, you never really feel alone? Does the sight of Bilbo Baggins just make you want to dress up like an elf and rub your nipples? If so, then this mod should be right up your alley. This mod adds a bunch of weapons from the movie and book series The Lord of Rings to the game. Some of the weapons that are added include the sword Frodo uses to cower like a bitch every chance he gets. There's also the Witch King sword, the Wrath Greatsword, Elven short blades, Elven longbow, Sauron's mace, and much more. All of these weapons look amazing and have excellent textures as well. This mod author did a great job bringing these weapons to life, not just in Skyrim, but as a whole. These swords are very realistic with high resolution textures and reflections in certain lighting. They also all come with their own unique scabbards, which are so nice they'll make Frodo pull down his pants and spread his ass cheeks apart.
I'm gonna do it, Samwise Gamgee. I'm gonna spread them for everyone to see.
No, Frodo, don't do it! Basically the entire movie in a nutshell. All of these weapons are craftable and upgradable, which makes them really fit in nice to the game. These are some of my favorite swords for Skyrim, and I am honestly stoked that they were ported over to the Special Edition, as I feel it would be tough to have a good playthrough without them. Each weapon looks different and really stands out in the world. Even if you're not a fan of Lord of the Rings, you can still be a fan of these weapons. When I use these weapons, I feel like a kid who just had his first boner. Wow, I really didn't know it could do that. I rate this mod one photo of how countries that don't have any guns fight wars. Okay, so best 2 out of 3 then? Now, one of the most disappointing things there is in life is when you think you're getting something completely unique, but it turns out it's just like everything else. It's like when you think you have this really unique girlfriend, but then everybody laughs at you because apparently she looks exactly like every other blow-up doll, except she has real human hair glued to her head. It's easy for people to laugh when they don't know what true love really is. I used to comb her hair every Sunday morning. She might very well have been the love of my life. So it's disappointing to say the least. Well, before this mod, Skyrim was a lot like that, in the sense that when you found a unique weapon, they looked just like the other weapons in their class, except they had altered stats, which was really just not acceptable, and almost made you feel like you didn't find anything unique at all, especially since you can use enchanting and tempering to improve the stats of pretty much any vanilla weapon. Well, this mod sorts that in the best way possible. This mod adds a custom version for almost every unique weapon in the game, so they actually look unique when you find them. Each one of these weapons looks incredible and makes you want to keep all of them in your inventory once you find them. The unique items that are affected by this mod are Angus Bane, Angie's Bow, Bloodthorn, Bowler's Oathblade, Dragonbane, Kavozin's Fang, Pale Blade, Red Eagle's Bane, the Long Hammer, Valder's Lucky Dagger, Windshear, and the Shield of Solitude. This is definitely a must-have mod for anyone's playthrough of Skyrim, regardless of whether you want new weapons or not. This actually makes the uniques unique, which improves immersion and makes for a more convincing playthrough. I rate this mod one dog that went completely insane from being cooped up in the house too long.
All work and no play makes Scooter a dull fucking dog.
Now this mod adds a strong, unique, and lore-friendly weapon to the game. This sword is one-handed and it's a unique weapon, meaning the one-handed version cannot be crafted. However, if you do want to put more fingers on the handle all at once, you can craft it into a two-handed version. Now this weapon is a standalone addition to the game, meaning it doesn't alter or retexture any of the vanilla weapons. The meshes and textures look amazing and really bring this sword to life in the game. This is by far one of the best looking and most immersive sword mods ever added to Skyrim Special Edition. Now if you want to acquire this weapon, it can only be found in the Stillborn Cave northeast on the world map. Now when you get there, it's placed on a throne inside of the cave. However, getting there might prove to be a bit difficult, but it is worth it since the sword is pretty strong and it looks so good it'll make all the maidens in the land want to lick your ballsack. So that's a nice perk, isn't it? Now, if you can't find the sword on the throne, then try looting some of the Falmer around the throne, as sometimes one of those ugly fuckers will go ahead and pick it up. Now, if that doesn't work, then chances are you don't actually have the mod installed. So try installing it first, okay? Genius. The sword can be crafted into a two-handed variant, provided you have the necessary ebony skill to do so. You can also craft it back into a one-handed variant if you find you want to free that hand up to go ahead and finger your asshole while you're in combat. It's all about priorities here, people. All about priorities. Now, this is an excellent weapon mod that I would highly recommend to anyone's playthrough of Skyrim Special Edition. I rate this mod that face you make when you're in the water and somebody yells shark at the beach.
He was kidding, right?
Now, the Joy of Perspective is a complete overhaul of Skyrim's first-person perspective that adds more realistic animations and a visible body. Animations can be chosen between the more realistic third-person style of animations, where the weapons are held off-screen, or you can choose the vanilla-style animations, where your weapons are always held directly in front of you. Your choice, though. This is one of those mods that looks like a little fix, but has huge implications in the way you play the game. If you really enjoy playing the game in first person, but hate how unimmersive it is in terms of combat and perspective, then this mod will have you creaming in your panties and foaming at the mouth, just like my 12th grade prom date. She was unusual, but boy could she freak out randomly for no reason. Oh man. Never again will you look down and not see your man bulge staring back up at you. No, no. Now when you run away from your enemies in terror, you'll be able to see your stubby little legs working overtime as you cry and shit yourself. Oh no! Oh God! Oh, this isn't happening! Oh dear God, no! Must go faster! Please go faster! This is just one of those mods that adds a ton of immersion to Skyrim Special Edition and makes any playthrough feel that much more real and authentic. I rate this mod that face you make when you realize you're too drunk to actually taste water. Oh God, not again. Now, one of the many upgrades to Skyrim Special Edition is the new water flow system that allows water to bend around turns and change speed depending on the environment. While the water is much improved over the original edition of Skyrim, water flow was applied to most bodies of water indiscriminately, resulting in odd-looking water at times. And nobody wants some fucking odd-looking water in their game. That's how you lose friends and end up alone eating a crusty old piece of bread in an adult diaper, wondering where it all went wrong. Now this mod fixes this so that lakes, ponds, marshes, rivers, and ocean water are once again visually and orally distinct from one another. giving the game that much-needed immersive H2O. Now, lakes, ponds, and ocean water will no longer flow in any particular direction. Lakes, rivers, and oceans will now have new ambient sound effects, and ponds are now silent. The volume of waterfalls and rapids have been increased. Icebergs and ice chunks will now sometimes crack and gargle, just like that weird aunt nobody visits. Rowboats floating in the water will animate and gently bob up and down like a hooker you paid $10. Waves were slowed down, retextured, and now have a crashing water sound effect. The splash foam effects were made more visible. They have also been added along the coast of Skyrim at locations that make sense. Additional waves have also been added to parts of the world. Large waterfall animations have been sped up, retextured, and more splash particles have been added. Waterfall mists now have more volume. Now who doesn't want a girthier waterfall mist? I know I do. That kind of shit gives me wood. Foam effects have been retextured. Rain ripples will no longer slide across the surface of the water like some kind of weird water sliding rain ripple psychos. They've also been retextured and transparency has been increased. Small rapids and the foamy streams in Whiterun and Markoth have had their animation sped up, and that green reflection emitted by some meshes when viewed at a certain angle was a bug that has also been fixed. New animated water for the blacksmith troughs and better splash effects have also been added. In short, this mod will make you enjoy water in Skyrim so much, you'll want to rub it all over your nipples and run through town yelling nonsense like, "Delphine blows bubbles between my ass cheeks!" No? Just me then, huh? Weird. Thought you guys were into that kind of stuff. I rate this mod one panda bear who appears to be trying to blow himself. Now I think we can all agree, we've been there, right? Maybe had a little bit too much to drink and we're feeling a little lonely? No? Just me then, huh? Wow, this is awkward. This mod adds a medium-sized, fully detailed player castle located outside of Whiterun at the foot of the hills. It has loads and loads of display and storage, a pool for undressing NPCs, unique item displays, and so much more. In order to acquire this castle, though, you're gonna need to purchase it for 60,000 gold shillings, which by today's standard, incorporating inflation, and carry the one, is a fuck ton of money! It's a lot! Put it this way, I sucked 60,000 dicks to get this castle. I'm sorry, 120,000 dicks to get this castle. And you know what? It was worth every single dick. This castle features a throne room, bedrooms, private pool, a kiddie pool, armory, crafting stations, dining hall, underkeep, war rooms, Talos shrine, vampire room, guardhouse, stable gatehouse, jail, 27 NPCs, and so much more. It's the bee's knees of castle mods in Skyrim. The bee's knees. Everyone who plays a fantasy game knows that you need a big, extravagant place in which to live to impress the NPCs, right? NPCs don't just go home and have sex with any player character. No. The point is, if you want NPCs to respect you, you need to have so much more than they ever will, right? And you need to flaunt it in front of them, dance around a little bit. I like to wear all my gold and jewelry at the same time. It's super heavy. It's actually to the point where my character can't even move. I have to be dragged into a room. It lets all the NPCs know how worthless and beta male they are to me. They're a bunch of soy boy little bitches. And all of the girl characters, they're like, oh my god, he's so fucking sexy. I just want to fucking touch his dick with my face. That's what they're saying, probably. I don't know. I can't read NPCs. They don't say that with their mouths, they say it with their eyes. And the only way that they're gonna say that with their eyes is if you got the bling. You know what I mean? That Kanye West bling that you can just flaunt. Let's face it, you go on a date with an NPC character and you take her to a little shack in the woods, she probably thinks she's about to get serial murdered, right? But you take her to a castle, and even if she thinks she's about to get serial murdered, she's gonna be like, well, at least I'll smell nice when he murders me. The point is, if you want respect and power to the point where you're wheeling dames like you're a jarl, okay, you're gonna need a fucking castle. And the only castle that really tickles my ball hairs is the Skystone Castle. It's just got it all. I rate this mod one guy pushing too hard when he's taking a shit. Oh god, no! This mod adds a mid-sized atmospheric hideout with a history off the beaten path between Riverwood and Whiterun. Now, if you don't mind getting your boots a little wet, yeah, the sounds of a waterfall, and prefer a darker, hidden place to kick up your feet and drop off your loot, this may be the player home for you. Now, it has a ton of goodies as well as including, but not limited to, 192 unique displays, full smithing area, alchemy lab, enchanting table, staff enchanter, mortar, underground garden, 6 planters, coffin, mirror, bath, 5 weapon racks, mannequin, 2 weapon displays, link storage, map marker, hidden entrance, and so much more. Rake's End is this like super secretive place that you can go to just be alone with your feelings or your thoughts. If you got like questions about who you are or who you're sexually attracted to or why you like to sniff people's fucking socks, you know, you can just get there and just hash that shit out, you know, just hash out those feelings. Sometimes rub your dick on the walls or whatever. No one's judging, right? Because Rake's End is like, it's a loner's paradise. It's off the beaten path. It's like the Batcave of Skyrim, you know? It's hard to find. You know, you gotta push a special thing to get in the door. It's got a dead guy out front to, like, scare off the children or whatever. So people aren't just gonna run in on you and catch you balls deep in a mannequin dressed up like a giant shrimp, right? That weird shit you're gonna be able to keep to yourself. Because that's the Rake's End promise, okay? You're gonna be able to keep all that weirdness confined to one super secretive location underneath a waterfall. And yeah, people walking by that waterfall are gonna hear some weird moans and grunts and shit, but they're just gonna think they're ghosts or ghouls or whatever and fucking run off. And then you're gonna be able to be there, you know, and just be you, just be free, you know? If you're like some sick weirdo that needs a place to hide from the law or just to like lay low for a while, Rake's End is the place for you, okay? They're not gonna follow you into a waterfall. Law officials in Skyrim don't do that shit. They're gonna turn around and walk away. As soon as you disappear into the mist of a waterfall, they're gonna be like, oh, he's dead. Yeah. And they're just gonna go about their business or whatever. Accusing people of committing crimes against Skyrimer people. Hey, you've committed crimes against Skyrimer people. Oh, he disappeared into a waterfall. I did not see that coming. That is, wow. Unconventional escape. Good for him. That's what they would say. So Rake's End's got that going for it too. I rate this mod the Prime Minister of Canada trying to remember his training. Oh no, it's happening! It's happening! What do I do? What the fuck do I do? Oh my god! No! No! The Dragon Priest mask in Skyrim definitely leaves something to be desired in terms of aesthetics. This mod changes that and gives all the Dragon Priest masks an overhaul. This is one of those circumstances where change is a good thing, unlike those bad changes. Like when they suddenly decided one day that Pluto wasn't a planet anymore. No one told me until security had to escort me out of the building at a local 4th grade science fair. You can't just get rid of a planet, Billy! You're not the fucking Death Star! Before this mod, it felt like all the Dragon Priest masks were just carbon copies of one another. There was really no differentiating them after you killed the priests who wore them. However, with this mod installed, all the Dragon Priest masks have a personality all their own that really symbolizes their deceased owners. These masks don't just look fantastic, they also embody the characteristics of the Dragon Priests who once wore them. And I don't know about you guys, but when I kill a Dragon Priest, I want a symbol of that accomplishment that I can wear around and show off to all my friends. Hey, Baters! Where'd you get that cool mask, man? Well, see, the thing is, I know this might sound bad, but I killed this old religious homeless guy in a cave, and I stole his face. Oh, okay, cool. The meshes and textures for these masks just look incredible and really make you want to find each and every Dragon Priest mask in the game. No two masks look the same, nor even share similar characteristics. This unique take on the Dragon Priest mask don't just make this mod an underrated addition to the game, but almost a must-have mod in anyone's playthrough of Skyrim Special Edition. I rate this mod one person who wants to be an athlete, but doesn't want to run a lot.
All right! Looks like it's time to throw a ball down the road.
This mod adds the Crucible Blade from Doom 16 to Skyrim Special Edition, complete with new special effects and spells. Now this might be the most evil looking weapon mod I've ever seen. I mean, it's just got evil written all over it, and you just can't cover up that kind of evil. I mean, you can put a dress on it and call it Aunt Sybil, but that's not going to stop it from bitch slapping the foreign kids for no reason, is it? No, it is not. Some evil just can't be stopped. Now, this mod was originally designed for Fallout 4, but the mod author just thought it would fit so much better in Skyrim. And I gotta say, I agree. It fits so well, I can barely contain my excitement. Barely. It's just about to explode out of my nipples. Now, this weapon has its own unique draw and sheath effects, along with a conjuration spell to summon the blade at will. The actual sword itself can be forged using a recipe that can be found in the shrine of Mehrunes Dagon. The fiery skull projectile explosion does damage based on your conjuration perks. The novice to master perks each increase the damage. The normal bound crucible has the weakest projectiles. The mystic binding crucible is slightly more powerful, and the real crucible sword has the most powerful explosions. You know, the kind of explosions where you have to take 2 showers just to get yourself clean afterwards? Yeah, those kind of explosions. Now, this is by far one of the coolest weapon mods ever made for Skyrim, and one that's a ton of fun to use in the game. I rate this mod 1 baby that came out perfectly healthy, but still upsets the parents.
Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now your parents—
Oh my god, kill it! Kill it now! Now, this mod adds the ability to dodge during combat in Skyrim Special Edition at the push of a button. Let's face it, you don't want to stand still during a fight. That's how you get knocked the fuck out. Don't believe me? Then just ask the pelican that kept checking out my girlfriend's ass when we were on vacation. I was like, hey, what the fuck do you think you're doing, buddy? And he was all like, meh, or whatever the fuck pelicans say. He just stood there staring at me like I wasn't gonna throw hands. Long story short, I brained him. Now, before this mod, if your character was about to get manhandled, he or she would just sit there all discombobulated with little to no defense mechanisms whatsoever. Sure, you could use the block button, but let's face it, that will only get you so far, won't it? Won't it, Gary? Won't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, not anymore, peeps. With this mod installed, you'll have more control defensively during the heat of battle. When your weapon is equipped, all you'll have to do is push down on one of the directional keys and hit the dodge key at the same time. Then just witness your character dance around blows like your enemy's weapons have recently been dipped in Ebola. Holy smokes! That one almost touched me! This is a wicked mod that makes combat in Skyrim so much more enjoyable. I rate this mod 1 little girl who wanted a pony, but her parents were on a budget. How do you like your new pony, Sarah? He's called Seabiscuit the Thoroughbred. Shh! She'll never notice. This mod brings wars to life in Skyrim. It adds thousands of really PO'd NPCs to the game. New scenery, new battlefields, and new boss-like characters. Before this mod, there was a lot of talk about wars going on in Skyrim between all the different factions, but there's almost no evidence of any of these wars happening in the game. Well, this mod author ameliorated that issue with this mod. This mod does what it says, and it adds epic battles, ambushes, encounters, and skirmishes throughout Skyrim. While exploring Skyrim, you will come across battles containing many NPCs spanning large portions of the world space, many of which are randomized, meaning that you will never see every war zone in the game, and every battle will feel new and unique. This mod brings the world to life and adds the anxiety and turmoil the story pontificates but never accentuates visually in the game. With this mod, not only will you see the conflicts that are consuming the heart of Skyrim, but you'll also be able to participate within them, which in a lot of ways makes this a must-have mod in Skyrim Special Edition. I rate this mod 1 guy who claims he never even heard of steroids. This is a small mod that actually has a big impact in the game. This mod adds several massive battlefields throughout Skyrim. This really only adds to the game aesthetically speaking, but aesthetics are important too. I mean, just ask any of those ladies who spend thousands of dollars getting big old fake titties. It ain't for practical purposes. And where in the fuck would the world be without big old bouncing boobies? I'll tell you one thing, my childhood would have been a whole lot darker having to polish my penis to a bunch of flat-chested, no-titty porn stars, okay? What are we, in the Middle Ages here with a bunch of itty-bitty titties? Seeing the aftermath of a battle is almost as important as the battle itself. If there is no aftermath, how can you ever really be sure the battle happened in the first place? This mod fixes that and adds very realistic battlefields to the world of Skyrim, showing off the devastation and destruction of the Civil War. Now you will be able to see the aftermath of huge battles which occurred in the province not so long ago. Note that nothing is explained on how the battles unfolded, but if you pay attention to the details, you will be able to deduce for yourself on how some of these fights ended. The mod author gave a lot of attention to detail, adding little things that really make the battles feel real. Also, when you walk into one of these areas, there is no music, which really adds to the ominous atmosphere of the carnage surrounding your character. As of right now, there are only 2 battlefields on the map, one in the north part of the map, west of Windhelm, and one in the south part of the map, east of Helgen. The mod author has stated, though, that he plans to add more battles in the future, as well as maybe some unique items which will make these scenes more than just an aesthetic attraction. This is a great mod that adds to the immersion and makes the player really feel the presence of the Civil War as if it was chiseled in the land through blood and death. Now, if immersion is your endgame, it would be difficult to have it without downloading this mod and having it in your playthrough. I rate this mod one mannequin who has mastered the mannequin challenge. Bunch of fucking amateurs. Let's face it, guys and girls, the NPCs in the vanilla game, they feel lacking in both personality and in sophistication. They are the intellectual equivalent of a squeegee becoming sentient and self-aware. Whenever something dangerous happens and everyone starts getting all rambunctious, the vanilla NPCs all act dumbfounded and discombobulated like a toddler who farted for the very first time.
Oh my god, what was that? I think it came right out of my butt cheeks.
This mod sorts all those mindless shenanigans and overhauls the AI in the game. This mod greatly improves the artificial intelligence of friendly NPCs in order to make them act and react like true human beings in relation to their environment or to an aggressor. Specifically, this plugin deeply overhauls the AI used by NPC citizens when they are aware of enemies, not aware of enemies, or actually fighting with enemies. This mod is very extensive and does so much it would be very difficult to cover every aspect of it in just this one mod review. However, I will give you guys a basic rundown or the SparkNote version of it. Basically, when your settlers engage in combat, they will act more like a person would in combat. For instance, if someone came up to me at the bar and they had like a teardrop eye tattoo, clearly did steroids and were covered in blood, and just accused me of talking to their girl, well, I'd stand right up, look them right in the eyes, clench my fists, and then shit all over myself and run away. Because that guy was like level 100 on the scary scale, and I'm like -6. NPCs in Skyrim will now use that same logic and run away if the fight seems hopeless. Now, there are different categories of NPCs that will act differently depending on their characteristics. For instance, if the NPC is strategic, they will retreat briefly, and once their health has regained, they will come back swinging. Now, if the NPC is a scared little bitch, they'll run away from just about anything, even a cloud that looks like an angry emoji. Get the kids, honey! It's an angry emoji face! The NPCs will now eat, sleep, hunt, ramble, ride, beg, and so much more. This mod does an amazing job overhauling the NPCs, giving them all specific classes and characteristics. Each and every NPC now has a purpose and acts in relation to how that character may act in real life. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a mod with this much detail and fastidiousness go into its creation. Anyone who installs it will see an instant difference in their citizens in a very immersive way. Mods like this one are a must-have for anyone's playthrough of Skyrim, regardless of whether you are looking for an immersive experience or not. This mod is just too good to pass up. I rate this mod one dog who likes licking really big titties. Go on, get in there, sport. Get him. Lick him with your face. Now, there are many different types of vampires in fictitious novels, movies, and bedtime stories. But every time I see a shitty-ass vampire, my heart breaks. The only thing worse than a vampire that doesn't look like a vampire is one that sparkles in the sunlight and hits on teenage girls like a flamboyant 200-year-old pedophile. Hey, I noticed you girls are in high school. You wanna see me bitch fight a werewolf who never wears a shirt, no matter how cold it gets outside? Yeah, let's face it, a vampire without proper fangs is like a rapist without genitals. Yeah, it'd be really annoying to get dry humped for 20 minutes in a dark alley, but it wouldn't be enough to cause any emotional damage. And when it was all over, you'd kind of feel sorry for them, wouldn't you? This mod adds variety and realism to the vampires of Skyrim, making them look more vampire-y, which is a word I just made up this second to describe the ability to become more like a vampire. Immersion in regards to vampires can be pretty subjective. However, I think this mod does an excellent job representing the features we recognize most in vampires. This mod adds 10 different eye options that are available in the download section. Also, male vampires no longer have bottom fangs and the top fangs have been shortened. All NPC vampires will get new fangs and one of the new eye colors that have been added. Now, the eye colors are dependent on the vampire level itself. So for instance, most NPC vampires will get a version of the red eyes. High-level vampires will get white eyes, and only a select few NPC vampires will get the blue eyes. This really adds a new interesting identifiable hierarchy amongst the vampires where their eye color changes based on the level of vampire that they are. It's kind of like how the Saiyans change their hair color when they get really fucking angry. It's like that, sorta, kinda, not really. It's not anything like that. I just wanted to talk about Saiyans. I rate this mod one smile that just says, "Hey, get your fucking hands off of me."
This mod makes your character look so good I actually changed my Tinder photos to 4 screenshots of my character in Skyrim. And just 1 picture of my penis. You still need that 1 dick pic to solidify the arrangement, I think. And if I know anything about women, it's that after they see an attractive guy, they always think, yeah, but does he have a weird penis? Seriously though, I'm currently in the process of writing a book on how to pick up women using a bombardment of dick pics. It'll be released as soon as one girl messages me back. This mod takes those unattractive vanilla characters and overhauls them, making them a lot easier on the eyes. All the textures are very detailed, but they're also performance friendly. This mod is great because it improves on the vanilla appearances without straying too far from the design, so the characters still look like they belong in the Skyrim setting. This mod improves the hand and foot meshes, adds complete texture sets for all races including snow elf and vampire textures, also adds improved teeth textures, eye textures, eyebrow textures, and much, much more. So if you want your Skyrim character to get fantasy fanboys fapping hard as fuck over them, then you're definitely going to need this mod. This is just one of those mods that once your character looks this good, it's impossible to ever want to go back to looking like a personified turd ever again. I rate this mod 1 monkey fingering himself really hard in the butthole. Oh, 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 ah, 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 ah. Now there's nothing worse than fighting someone who can't properly defend themselves. For instance, I once got in a fight with an 8-year-old and it was pathetic because I'm like a fully grown adult. And it was just sad the way that kid just beat the living shit right out of me in front of all my friends. That's what I call the stuffed animals I bring with me everywhere I go. My friends. This mod makes sure your enemies are not as ill-prepared as I was up against that 8-year-old. Now when the Dragonborn comes a-knocking, your enemies will be ready. This mod makes more effective combat AI. It increases the lethality, meaning your enemies, depending on their level, may be very difficult to match. New mechanics were also added to add more depth to the game. This mod adds dynamic combat where it appears that the AI actually think before they act while they are fighting. They start to act like actual people who care about their lives. It goes even further, adding features that slow you down while moving sideways and backwards while wielding a weapon or a spell. It reduces the auto aim on bows and crossbows, and block effectiveness against power armor attacks have been reduced as well. There's also much more that have been added that I just don't have enough time to talk about in this mod review. This mod really makes the combat in the game a lot more believable and fun to engage with. Note that almost all the parameters are adjustable, so if you don't like one feature, you can turn it off or adjust it to your comfort level. This is definitely a great addition to the game, one that I would highly recommend to anyone who enjoys combat in Skyrim Special Edition. I rate this mod that one expression every crack addict makes when they realize that they're out of crack.
Oh, that's the last of my crack. I need some crack. I definitely need some crack. I need some crack! I need some crack!
Cloaks are one of those things that when you're wearing them in Skyrim, everybody thinks you're cool as shit. But when you wear one at your local park, all of a sudden you're too weird to play with people's kids. I feel like we really need to bring back the cloak and cape in modern clothing design because capes are A, awesome, and B, make you look like a superhero. This mod adds lore-friendly cloaks and hoods to the game that were inspired by HBO's Game of Thrones and Viking art. They suit the Skyrim world perfectly and go great with almost any armor or clothing pieces. This mod adds 111 new cloaks and hoods to the game. There are the Bearclaw, Wolfskin, Armored Bearclaw, and Armored Wolfskin variants to choose from. The cloaks and hoods all look fantastic with great meshes and textures that really bring them to life in the game. All the items have been added to the level list. They are also craftable at the tanning rack. All the armored items can be tempered, and both the hoods and cloaks can be enchanted as well. Now when it comes to feeling really immersed in the Skyrim world, it's important that the world makes sense. And what better way to explore the snow-covered mountaintops of Skyrim than with your very own badass looking cloak to keep you warm as fuck. Nothing says I came prepared like a toasty looking character
in a cold as fuck setting. This mod is essential for anyone who gets even the slightest bit chilly when they're exploring Skyrim. I rate this mod one old guy who's never seen a watch.
What in the bejesus? Back in my day, we had to tell time by looking up at the sun until one of us passed out. And we were always wrong. Sometimes I thought it was Thursday and it was winter.
I know what a lot of you must be thinking. What the fuck is a rag doll? Is it a skanky doll that doesn't bathe and smells like an ass crack? Or maybe it's a rag used for cleaning surfaces that looks just like a Barbie. But that wouldn't be very practical now, would it? No, ragdoll is a term used in modern electronic games where characters fall limply and body parts interact with the environment after being killed. The goal of ragdoll physics is creating more realistic corpses. Fun fact, one of the earliest games that incorporated ragdoll physics was Hitman. Simply put, this is when you bitch slap your Thane for bringing you cold soup and they fall really fucking hard to the ground. Now if they fell all soft like and shit and it didn't look like it hurt, then they probably think that cold soup is acceptable. But we all know that it's not. So proper ragdolls are important to keep the NPCs from stepping out of line. This mod reduces extra force applied on ragdolls to a more reasonable level and replaces ragdolls so they bend and twist realistically and fall at a faster velocity. It also increases friction to fix ice-like ragdoll sliding. In short, this mod makes the bodies in the game seem less stiff and act in a realistic way when they fall or interact with objects. This is an excellent mod that doesn't just make the combat more believable, but also makes the world more immersive when the NPCs fall and interact with objects in a realistic fashion. I rate this mod one reindeer that got kicked off Santa's team because he couldn't pull shit. Now here's some swords you can tell your kids about. And if you don't have any kids, well then you can kidnap some kids and tell those kids about them. Because these swords are fucking incredible. These swords make me want to wake up a baby and yell at it. Wake up, you little baby. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Have you seen these swords? Lick them with your eyes. Until the baby knows nothing but these swords. Now this mod adds 5 new swords to the game as a standalone that all look so realistic, they'll make you want to LARP with your cousin Eddie at the public park, even though those bully kids always throw shit at you guys. These swords truly do look fantastic though, and all come in insanely detailed textures. The 5 swords are all uniquely named with their very own look and feel. The swords are Mars, Venus, Luna, Terra, and Sol. They all come with their very own scabbard as well, so you'll look fashionable when you're walking around defenseless. Also, they all come in 1 and 2 hand variants, so you can really get your fuck on no matter what your playstyle. Unless you're into magic like a weirdo, then these swords are all pretty fucking pointless, aren't they? Now, if you want to get your hands on these fuckers, they can all be crafted at the forge under various categories. Every one of these swords looks like they were crafted with extreme fastidiousness, bringing every detail to life. These weapons will make you feel like you can actually reach out and touch them, or kiss them, or fuck them. I rate this mod one lady who's trying to drink an entire swimming pool. Okay, 4 gallons down, only 660,000 left. I got this. Are you the type of person that's really into purplish bluish jewelry? Like the first time you saw the Titanic and that old lady threw the heart of the ocean overboard? Did you freak out and throw your fucking TV through the window? Oh, are you out of your fucking mind? Bitch, you better know how to swim. I know I did. Now, if you're really into having a blinged out sword to sport around as you travel the hilltops of Skyrim, then this mod has everything you need. Now this is yet another excellent port from Skyrim Original. This mod adds a one-handed steel sword with a silver hilt to the game. Now the sword is craftable at the forge and it is temperable at the grindstone. It has the same weight as the steel sword and the same damage as the vanilla ebony sword. Now this sword looks amazing. The bluish purple jewels coupled with the engraved blade makes the stuff Greymane does look like a toddler's brain fart. I'm pretty sure I can build you a sword, but it's gonna have to be out of Lego. Now this sword has a really unique design and doesn't look like any other sword I've seen in Skyrim. It's very immersive and is the type of sword only those of noble birth would be wielding in battle, which is great for the Dragonborn because he has the most noble blood of all, that of a dragon. This is an excellent weapon mod that really captures the essence of Skyrim while still making something completely original. I rate this mod one baby that knows mixed martial arts.
Okay, tap out, Whiskers, or I'll break it. Damn you and your pride, Whiskers. Just tap the mat, it's over.
Have you ever said to yourself, fuck, I wish there was more weapons in Skyrim, that way I could show them off to Delphine, and maybe she'll show me her titties. Well, boom! This mod's got what you need. Once you install this mod, Delphine will be calling you non-stop like a girl you just started dating who has serious boundary issues. Holy hell! What the hell are you doing in my closet?
I missed you. I missed your face.
For those of you who are interested, the original mod author was Gosu, and this mod, like many others on this week's list, is a port from the original Skyrim. However, the new mod author did an excellent job bringing these weapons to Skyrim Special Edition, as they look and function perfectly in the world. This mod adds 4 daggers, 12 one-handed swords, 8 two-handed swords, 1 one-handed hammer, 1 two-handed hammer, 1 battle axe, 1 great axe, 1 bow, and 1 shield. All of these weapons, as well as the shield, are standalone additions to the game. Now, if you want to get your hands on these excellent weapons, they can be forged in the steel category, so you'll be able to access them pretty early in your playthrough of the game. Now, the weapons all look sexy as fuck and don't break immersion at all. They definitely feel like something the Dragonborn could have stumbled upon during his adventures. Each and every one of these weapons give me a raging hard-on to the point where I can't wear jeans anymore while I play Skyrim for fear that I will break my dick. I rate this mod 1 photo of what happens when you don't take your eye exam seriously.
Is somebody there? I thought I heard a noise.
This mod adds a weapon pack containing 8 new weapons to the game. These weapons are either very long, very big, very heavy, or very sexy. The weapons are the Ultra Iron Sword, Axe, Mace, Steel Sword, Steel Axe, and Steel Mace. There are also 2 bonus weapons, the Ultra Iron Pickaxe and the Akaviri Ultra Saber. The weapons have a certain theme to them. Iron weapons are scratched, rusty, and abused beyond all reason, while steel ones have certain patterns and decorations about them, while still looking like they've seen regular use. Now, you can obtain these weapons from any forge provided you have the necessary materials and perks to craft them. You can also temper and enchant them as well. Do you want weapons that just tell all of Skyrim that you might be compensating for something? Well, boy, then these weapons are the ones you need. These weapons are obnoxiously large. They're so big, in fact, that if you didn't have a sexual complex about the size of your genitalia, they'd give you one. You know? They're just that big and large and scary. Some of them are hauntingly scary, you know? Like, some of them are, like, to the point where it's like, you feel like you might have seen them in your periphery vision when you're in the shower and you freak out a little, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, they're that frightening. These weapons are so large, in fact, that sometimes you can, if you were to take them into battle, you don't even need to swing them around. They'll scare your enemies into submission before you even pull them out of your backpack. They'll be like, what the fuck? It's still, what? What is that? Who even uses something that big? That's insane. If you hit a dragon in the face with one of these things, that dragon will never fuck with you again. Every time you enter the room, it'll be shivering and shit. Just like crying in the shower, just thinking about you and that fucking huge weapon of yours. These armors are like the dildos I keep in my closet. Confusingly large and difficult to fit completely in my asshole. Ever try to shave your balls with a sword this big? It's not impossible, but it is extremely difficult. I rate this mod 1 guy who apparently hates watermelons. When you see Satan, tell him Devin sent ya!
Hey, Grandpa, what's your fucking problem, man? That was a perfectly good watermelon.
Sometimes when I'm exploring the wondrous world of Skyrim and I'm basking in the sun-soaked natural hills or running naked through the semi-poisonous wildflowers, or when I try to communicate with wild animals through sign language and a series of blinks, I think to myself, would it just be wonderful to cut that thing's head off right there and use it as a weapon? Well, before this mod, that was just a pipe dream. Now, you can kill a semi-endangered, somewhat violent horker and use their horns to fashion more weapons to kill more horkers. It's a perfect system. Before you know it, you'll be having so much fun, you'll be covered in blood and fur, and you won't be able to look your 12-year-old daughter in the eye anymore when the house pet goes missing.
Teddy, where's Whiskers?
This mod adds new horker weapons and a shield to the game, which are craftable at the forge under the miscellaneous section. They have also been added to the level list so you can find them on dead people or dead animals. Now 11 new weapons have been added to the game along with the shield. All of these weapons just look incredible, and they really look like they were fashioned out of a horker's tusks. This weapon set reminds me of the time that I tried to fight with a weapon made out of an animal in real life. Now, although it is terrifying to smack someone in the face with a live raccoon, it's not very practical, because sometimes the raccoon gets wise to your shenanigans and bites you right on the penis. Lesson learnt. Lesson learnt. It's better to fashion a weapon out of dead animals. Also, don't wear a live raccoon on your penis. Who knew, right? I rate this mod that one scene that was cut out of Casablanca during editing because people They just weren't ready. Maybe not today and maybe not tomorrow, but someday. Could I dip my balls on your face like a bag of tea? Did I ruin the moment? Maybe. But I had to ask. My balls are looking at you, kid, and they're saying dip me on your face. Thanks again for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to bitch slap that subscribe button like it's 3 weeks behind on your rent. Bitch! Where's the money, bitch? Where's the money? Where is it? Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon too, because apparently YouTube thought there should be extra steps. Why not, right?
I'd like to subscribe, but first I have to click this and do this. Oh, it needs an email. All right, and this. Okay, fuck. Just tell me when he's uploading. Fuck!
Once you do all that, if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a tiny little Averagebaters fairy might come and tickle your butthole. I hope to see you all again next time, and remember to keep on average baiting, baby.